Speaking of criminals, Sam Brinton. Do you remember him? Sam Brinton is the former nuclear waste appointee in the Biden administration. He's the guy who's a bald-headed, mustachioed dude who frequently dresses up as a woman.
Right.
Who flaunts his leather puppy fetish.
What?
He likes to dress men up as dogs in all sorts of leather and then do weird sexual things to them. And he likes to wear lipstick and flowing dresses and high heels. And he was feted by the media. They absolutely loved this guy, how groundbreaking. He's a transgender, pangender, whatever gender, cracking the glass ceiling. And he looks so stunning. He's so brave. Look at his beautiful clothing. Then it turned out that this guy, Sam Brinton, is a thief. He got caught stealing luggage at an airport. And initially he said, this was just a mistake. I took the wrong bag. And it turned out he's taken other bags before. Then they had camera footage of him actually looking at the name tags on the bags and hiding them in his pocket, just going away. And it was really, really weird. Finally, after weeks and weeks of this, it was too much even for the Biden administration. And so they canned the guy. Now we find out that some of those flowing dresses, those big, beautiful wardrobe pieces that Sam Brinton was photographed in, even including in Vanity Fair, by the way, in fashion magazines, in high culture. It turns out that they were stolen from specific women. There's a woman who posted on Instagram. She said, "Hi, I'm a fashion designer. This is a custom piece that I had made. And here's Sam Brinton wearing that piece. And I lost my luggage in 2018. And I'm not saying for sure it was him, but it's hard to explain how he ended up wearing my dress if he didn't steal my luggage." So this appears to have been going on for years. There were other people who came forward, said, here's me wearing this unique sort of custom piece. And then you look later on and here's Sam Brinton wearing it shortly after I lost it. And he's being photographed by the media doing the very same thing, making it into magazines. So what is this about? Is this because Sam Brinton couldn't afford clothing? I suppose he probably couldn't afford the high-end clothing that he'd like to steal, but I think it's about more than that. People can generally purchase clothing. You can go to any inexpensive shop today and buy any kind of flamboyant clothing. This was obviously some weird fetish for this guy. He's a guy who is most well known not for his career, not for his knowledge of nuclear waste, not for any virtue or excellence that he's engaged in. He's most well known for indulging weird fetishes. And it would seem that stealing women's clothing at the airport was part of that. And it's just a sad lesson that this guy had a lot of things going for him. I'm not going to say he had everything going for him, but he had a lot of things going for him. He was in an important role in a presidential administration. He had impressive academic degrees. I think he went to MIT, but he just couldn't get over this problem that he had. This actually many, and those ended up being his undoing. And the thing you always ask people when they get their comeuppance is, was it worth it? Was it worth it? The guy who loses his family because he slept with his secretary, was it worth it? You ask the guys, was it worth it? They always say no. You ask Sam Brinton. You lost your job in a presidential administration. You're now effectively unemployable, certainly at that height of your profession. Was it worth it so that you could wear some weird red dress that you took from the airport? I assume he would say no. Is it worth it to become a laughingstock internationally? No, but these people can't escape it. This is a real danger. It's this joke that Drew Klavan tells about the guy with an orange for a head. The short version of the joke is, guy walks into a bar, he's got an orange for a head. The bartender says, "Okay, I gotta ask, what's going on?" He says, "All right, well, you're not gonna believe it, but I was on a beach. I find a little genie bottle. I rub the bottle. A genie comes out, says, I give you 3 wishes. I said, I don't believe that. He says, no, I do. Try it. He says, okay, first wish, I want $1 million. Knock, knock, knock on the door. Pat say, Jack, here's a check for $1 million. Okay. Second wish, I want to sleep with all the Playboy bunnies of the year. Knock, knock, knock. It's all the Playboy bunnies of the year. They walk up. Isn't that unbelievable? Bartender says, okay, I get it. How'd you end up with the orange? He said, well, here's where I think I messed up. For my third wish, I asked to have an orange for a head. And half the people think this joke is hilarious, and half the people have no idea what the joke is about. The joke is about the perversity of the human heart and how these little weird, bizarre, shameful perversions can be people's undoing. Sam Brinton was not the only guy who dressed in weird, vaguely satanic, sometimes not so vaguely satanic ways in the Biden administration. You remember the deputy chief of the monkeypox response, Demetrios something or other, was this guy who photographed himself, flaunted himself, wearing all sorts of satanic imagery. Not just leather and whips and chains, pentagrams on his chest, a pentagram leather harness on top of a pentagram tattoo that the guy put on his chest. You think, what is it with this? Why is it that we're watching the Grammys and Sam Smith is dancing around like a kind of millennial lesbian Satan figure? Everybody's applauding. The First Lady of the United States is in the audience applauding. Why do we see all of this imagery? Why are the liberals in New York raising an actual demon statue on top of a courthouse in Madison Square? Why are they doing that? It took until Friday, but we have got the feel-good story of the week. As crime surges around the country, a poor little old grandmother was about to get into her car to drive to a chemotherapy appointment when a teenage criminal accosted her, threatened her with a gun, and tried to steal her car. That's not the feel-good part. That is obviously all terrible. What makes this the feel-good story of the week is what happened next.
Next thing I know, he walked up talking about, give me your keys, I got a gun. And I said, baby, you better shoot me because you're not taking my car today. He pushed me to the door and I got up and I grabbed him and was hitting his ass and hitting him and fighting him. And I said, you're not going to take my car, youngin'.
Grandma said when she screamed, a grandson and neighbors came running.
And they all came out to help me, and he ran across the street, and that's when they caught him.
So the neighbors caught him?
Yes, they caught him. And I said, oh, you going to jail today.
Police came. Grandma showed us the scar from the teen snatching her keys. The police report said the would-be carjacker left in an ambulance. Grandma said she's told he's now in lockup.
On 22nd Street, he must didn't know where he was.
He didn't know where he was. That's what makes this story so beautiful. It's not just that the grandmother got to keep her car and make her chemotherapy appointment. It's not just that this would-be carjacker is now in the clink. It's not even just that the grandson and the neighbors who beat the little thug to within an inch of his life taught him a lesson he will not soon forget, that they got to go on with their day while the punk was hauled off in an ambulance. What is most beautiful about this story is that everybody got to see what community looks like. He didn't know where he was. This would-be criminal was not just in some undifferentiated city, as so many of us increasingly are, where anonymous individuals fend for themselves with no ties to one another. He was in a neighborhood. He was in a community. And in a community, people know each other. In a community, everybody has a role. Everybody has a place. People trust one another. People look out for one another. And as a result, they are able to defend themselves against predators who wish to do them harm. We used to have a lot of community here in the United States, less and less every single day. Maybe we could learn a lesson from this grandmother in Washington, D.C.